Hey. you know, Hi. I have a little feature going on the blog, Unplayable 45s that I won't throw out. I have a bunch of 45s that I won't throw out because they represent, the era of my youth. And actually, yesterday I did some 80s stuff. It was really more like the era when my kids were young and and actually ruined all my really old records on their Fisher Price radio. But I put up yesterday Wake Me Up Before You Go Go. That was one that was bought to entertain my kids back in the days when I thought that rock and roll pop songs made good children's music. Some of you may be torturing yourself listening to who are these children's music people that you listen to all the time, like Raffi or something. I didn't listen to that stuff. I got the idea that rock and roll oldies was good stuff for the kids to listen to. I think I was giving them a bath one night, and for some crazy reason, I started singing "Sitting in Ya Ya, Waiting for My La La." You know that song? It's actually on the American Graffiti soundtrack. It's a song from the 50s. I think I always pretty much knew it as an oldie, but it sounds like a kid song. La La, Ya Ya. And then there are all those doo-wop songs with the crazy syllables. And so I kind of started there and branched out into the 60s, more bubblegumish kinds of things. But then I ended up just giving them all my old 45s to fool around with, and I bought a few things from from the 80s. So, I have Wake Me Up Before You Go Go and a few things like that. Neutron Dance. I have Neutron Dance. But this one for today, I hope you notice, you see the parrot on the label? The parrot label, that's not really a very famous label. This is Here Comes the Night by them, and I'll write a little bit about it on the blog, but, that was Van Morrison before anyone knew the name Van Morrison, and, with his distinctive voice, and it was kind of a heavier, darker sound than I was used to liking in the kinds of, you know, 60s stuff that I liked. I was a big Herman's Hermits fan. I liked the Monkees. I liked the Beatles. I liked the lighter stuff. And for me, Van Morrison's voice was like a little too heavy, a little too dark, a little too much like the soul music that I didn't really like in the 60s because it seemed like it was for like grown-ups and I was a kid. I'm currently a grown-up. And I'll never be a kid again. But I do, I do enjoy returning to these artifacts of my youth, and I won't throw them out, even though they're all scratched and I can't play them anymore. Some people say, well, it's the reason that you can't play them that you don't have a record player. No, I have a record player. They're just too scratched up. They're messed up. So, but speaking of things that are old and tired, I was just incredibly tired today for some. This is how nerdy I am, nerdy plus tired. That I was in my office. It was late in the day. I could have just left, but I was feeling tired. I'm yawning. I'm thinking, well, take a little nap, and then then you can get going again. Because I have something I need to write. I have a presentation I need to do next week, and it involves amassing a bunch of material that I need to get ready to be able to do this presentation. So I want to take a little nap, and when I take a nap, if I just lie down, I might not be able to nap. So I put on some kind of spoken word. So what I go for the spoken word is Blogging Heads TV, because they just put up David Korn and Brian York, the promised debate between David Korn and Brian York, who kind of got in a big fight, but then couldn't have the fight because David Korn's book, what's it called, Hubris or something like that, hadn't come out yet, so David Korn couldn't actually talk about his book, so he was there with Brian York, but they couldn't actually have the fight that they were supposed to have. So then today, they're finally up and they're actually having their real fight. So I put that on so I'd have something to listen to so I could take a nap. Is that how you take a nap? Putting on David Korn and Brian York arguing about Hubris, some book about Bush or something. Anyway, so they're arguing. I'm not really sure how the argument went because I actually did take a nap and I slept through the whole thing. So I had a nice hour-long nap. And, that should have really perked me up and made me ready to just get back to work. I had an hour-long nap while David and Byron, have I been saying Brian? I know it's Byron. York were having their big fight. I can sleep through any people talking. For some reason, people talking puts me to sleep. So, good thing that I'm usually the one doing the talking in a class because I'm just glancing over there because that's where the picture is, and I'm trying to be centered. I'm afraid, maybe she's completely off screen. But didn't I do a good job of lining up the circle and doing this? I thought that was a nice effect. It's my creative effect for the vlog. But so then I came home and I was, tired, and I started checking the email, and I see that somebody wants me to participate in some interview about political bloggers, and that I was selected by a snowball sample, and then I switched over to, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that, and I switched over to see what tabs I'd left open since this morning, and there was this thing from an article in the New York Times that I wrote about this morning about the Electoral College, which is a big subject of mine. I actually wrote an article about it once, and I did a post about it this morning, and I left that tab open all day. And I look down and I see that this discussion of the legislation about the Electoral College says the goal is to create a snowball effect. I'm like, a snowball effect? So, did I just read something about a snowball sample that I was trying to understand, and I'm so tired that I mixed it up with something that I was reading over here in this article, the snowball effect, and then I go back and I look, no, there is a snowball sample. Snowball sample, snowball effect. I know what a snowball effect is, I don't know what a snowball sample is, but isn't it kind of spooky that the snowball was in exactly those two places? What does that mean? I don't know. I think that's a little spooky, but I don't know what to do about it. Snowball. Maybe there's not a snowball's chance in hell I'll be able to get through this blog and pull it in for a landing and make it all cohere. You know, I could do something with the record and create coherence, you know, little segments, you know. But a snowball sample, I looked up to see what it was. I said, what's a snowball sample? It's not a random sample. It's a sample that you get the next person to interview based on asking the previous person or persons who to interview. And so that means that this idea of including me in a discussion of women political bloggers, which is what it is, was somehow my name came up because somebody else mentioned me. I can just imagine what that is because, you know, in the subject of women in blogging, I've been, you know, on the hot seat all week, crazily, and I don't really want to talk about that. So I don't know if I want to do that or not. The reason, so that's, you know, so I had my nap, I scanned my record, Here Comes the Night, which I want to talk about, and I wanted to tell you about my nap and my little feelings of being tired and getting confused about the idea of snowball, snowball effect, snowball sample, and you know, and yeah, snowball sample, I looked up what that was, but I wanted to talk about why I was picking Here Comes the Night, and how I didn't really like it that much. I knew it was good, and I bought it because I used to buy things that impressed me as good, but I knew it was like outside the range of what I personally actually liked. I didn't really, even today, I don't really like the sound of Van Morrison's voice, and there's something about the attitude that it's just not in my zone. But I was driving home, I decided to pack it in, and that nap, why'd I bother to stay in my office and take a nap for an hour with Byron York and David Korn arguing with each other if I wasn't going to come out of the nap and then get my project going again, this material I have to amass for the presentation next week. But apparently it didn't work, and it was getting late, and the building was starting to feel a little spooky. So I left, and went and got my car out of the garage, and as I was coming up out of the garage, I switched the machine from the CD player to the satellite radio, because I enjoy listening to satellite radio as I drive home, and I can't listen to satellite radio when I'm in the garage, so I always switch over to some CD so I have something to listen to while I'm driving through the garage. But as I was coming out of the garage, I switched over to the satellite radio and put it on the 60s channel, or was it the 70s channel? And it was 60s channel, and they were playing Brown Eyed Girl. You know, that's the Van Morrison song I think people think of the most, you know. So hard to find my way, now that I'm all on my own. I saw you just the other day. My, how you had grown. Cast my memory back there, Lord. Sometime I'm overcome, thinking about making love in the green grass behind the stadium with you. So I had to drive home past the stadium. Nobody making love behind the stadium or anything like that. But I'm thinking about Van Morrison, and deciding, well, that means that today is the day to scan Here Comes the Night and talk about Here Comes the Night and my attitude toward Van Morrison. So, you know, things come together, things cohere. That double snowball seems to mean something. And so that means that if Van Morrison playing on the radio, Brown Eyed Girl, that means it's the day to blog and vlog about Here Comes the Night. So that's all it is. Okay. The end.